Good morning, friends. Welcome to Leah, Kalia. Good to see you guys. Get my attendance here. And how are both of you doing today? Good? Ready for the weekend? It's a beautiful day out today. Hey, good morning, Relisha. Welcome to you. Y'all sharing our agenda for the day. I will get another reminder out here. Any big weekend plans in store for anybody? Doing anything exciting? Or are we just kind of hanging out and trying to dodge COVID this weekend as always? Who else have we had join us? Amir, Salam. Good morning, friends. Welcome.
Good morning.
Glad you're in the right spot now, Amir. And Amir, I was trying to tell you before, when you were with me second period yesterday, you actually weren't on my list there either. So I'll find out who your second period teacher is on Monday, Thursday, and I'll let them know that you were with me so that you don't get marked absent. All right, we got everybody trickling in here now. Good morning, Miss Cat, celebrity guest. Welcome.
Morning.
And Naima is with us. Good morning to you. All right, y'all, we'll give it about maybe 2 more minutes and then we will jump in here. Okay, here is kind of our deal for today. Let's see, we're still going to be focusing on our story, Homegoing, trying to get through that, but we're going to do it a little bit differently today. Somebody's got the jams on this morning. Kira, welcome. All right, y'all. So while we're waiting about another minute or two for people to jump in, what I want you to do is head to this website right here, okay? join.nearpod.com and then put in this code, all right? UX.
Can you send it in the chat so I can copy and paste it?
I for sure can. I'm going to do that as well. Um, so let me get the link for that. So we are going to be using Nearpod today to help us um, finish up this first section of our story. Um, if you have worked with Mr. Luke on Wednesdays before, then Nearpod should be a little familiar to you. Good morning, Shirley. All right, UXEJK. I always type that wrong. So the link and the code are in the chat now. Okay. And you can also do it this way as well. If that link is not working, you can just go to join.nearpod.com and put in that code. Then it should take you right to our Nearpod video for today. So you should see Homegoing as the title of the video, and then you'll know you're in the right place. So, like it says right here, please put a thumbs up in the chat or something to let me know that you are there and have it pulled up. All right, we'll give everybody another 2 minutes to get this pulled up. All right. But good morning again to everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. Happy beautiful, bright, sunny Friday today. All right, so again, take about maybe another minute and a half. If you still don't have the Nearpod pulled up, you can go to join.nearpod.com, put in the code. I also put a link in the chat as well. So either one of those will get you to the right place. All right, checking the chat here. How we doing? We got this pulled up. People are finding it. Let's see. All right, Salam is in. All right, Amir, I just saw your chat. If you can pause that and at least just tune in so you can understand what we're going to do with this class, and then go back or do any of that. Once I turn everybody loose, that's fine. But while I'm giving the direct instruction, I ask that you're kind of tuned into this, if that's okay. All right. Thank you, Talia. Thank you, Relisha. Good job. Good job. Thank you, guys. All right. So, ladies and gents, if you have this Nearpod pulled up, let me see here. All right. It should look like. Get it pulled up on my end and share my screen. Come on, come on. Right. Thank you, Shirley. I saw yours in the chat. All right, so it should look like this. Okay, if you have it pulled up. So again, if you're familiar with Nearpod, if you worked with Mr. Luke on Wednesdays, I know he uses it a lot. All right, Nearpod's really cool. Something I'm trying to use more of this term. So what we're going to do with this today is use this to kind of finish up the first part, the first section of our story, Homegoing, that we our reading. Okay. And the way we're going to do that is this is, as you can see right here, an audiobook. So this is an audiobook recording of the first chapter. Now, I will tell you, it is like an electronic kind of like automated recording of it. So it can be a little bit tricky to understand at times, but shouldn't be anything too ridiculous. So definitely should be able to follow along. And as you can see, these little dots right here, these are all spots where the video is going to pause and ask you a question based on what's happening in the book. Now, some of these questions, if you've been in class with us, may sound familiar because we've already talked about them in class. But I wanted to put the whole thing in here in case there's anybody who has missed some class or is a little bit behind. You can kind of do it all in one shot. And the other cool thing about Nearpod is you can stop and go back to it. So you can do a little bit to this morning, you can go back, finish this afternoon, over the weekend, whatever it is. So that way you don't have to just rely on sitting here listening to me read. Okay. And so this is going to be one of the things that I'm going to be looking for your progress report, which the work is due at the end of the day today for. The other thing is going to be your family tree as well. All right. Now, I know this is pretty long. So as long as you show me that you are making a good attempt, so if you have like 3 out of the 4 questions done at least by end of the day today, and for me that means by like 11:59 tonight, then that'll be good for your progress report. Okay. Questions on this? Anybody still having trouble getting to the Nearpod? Questions on how it works? Anything like that? I'm looking at my list here and I see there's a good bit of us that have joined. So good job. Amir, I got you in there. Kira, Naima. All right. Shirley, Salam, Talia. Awesome job. Awesome job. Okay. Anybody that is still not in the Nearpod, I think we actually got everybody. All right. Good work. All right, guys. So, again, questions on how that's going to work, on what we're doing with the Nearpod. If I don't hear anything, I'm going to assume you're good to go. All right. That is awesome. So before I let you guys dive into this, let's do a quick recap, though, so we know kind of where everybody's at. We're on the same page because we have done a little bit of reading in this last kind of 2 classes. So those of you who have been here will be familiar with Effia, the main character that we've met in the first chapter of this book. And we know that she has not had an easy go of it so far. She was born on the night of a big fire that ruined a lot of her family's crops. So her father was super upset about that. Her mother wasn't able to breastfeed her, and so that led to very harsh relationship between her and her mother, which caused a harsh relationship between her and her father. Right. So that's kind of like at the beginning in her childhood. Now she has become a young woman and she's getting ready to be married off. And we know there's kind of 2 options. One is Abiku, the boy who's about to become the new chief of their village, and the other one is the white man, a British soldier that has come to their village to kind of trade and things like that. So can anybody that was here give us kind of refresher, reminder, Effia's mom wants her to go one way or the other in terms of who she marries. Does anybody remember which direction she wants her to go? Who does she want her to marry? Does she want her to marry the British soldier or Abiku, the chief of their village? Anybody who can refresh our memory on that, either in the chat or you can come off mute, Who does Effie's mom, who would she prefer her to marry between those 2? Anybody remember? Can help us out here? And you can put it in the chat or you can come off mute.
What was the question?
This is about where we left off reading last class. Question was, sorry, my heat kicked on. Might not be able to hear me. Question was, between the two options Effia has to marry, Abiku, the chief of their tribe, and the British soldier that has come to trade, who does her mom want her to marry? Which way does her mom want her to go?
She want her to marry the one that stays like in the village, so she don't have to go away. I believe.
Is that what her mom wants, or what Effia would want? Because remember, we talked a lot about arranged marriages and kind of what people get out of it, especially during these time, at this time in history. So
her mom is trying to send her off, right?
Yes. So sending her off would mean she wants her to marry who? The chief or the soldier?
The chief.
No, because if she marries the chief, then she'd
The
stay in the
soldier.
village. Yeah, the soldier, right? So her mom wants her to marry the British soldier, the white man. And we know sending her off means that she would go live with him in the castle, and so she'd be away from the village. But what's in it for her mom and her family? Why would she rather her marry the British soldier and leave the village than stay there with the chief? What's
Because
the
she'll
other?
get exchange for that.
Right. So exchange for what? Do you remember what they would get?
Goods.
Yeah, goods, money, right? So like all kinds of trading materials. So it's almost like a transaction, right? Because that's what arranged marriages were at this time, in history in the 18th century. So Effie is. So we found out right where we stopped last class that Effie's mom wants her to marry the British soldier because then they get more money, they get more trading goods. He can leave money to the family when he dies, and things of that nature, right? And so she doesn't want her to marry Abiku. And so because this is her plan, her mom, maybe somebody else that we haven't heard from yet can help me out with this one. But thank you, Salam. Good job. Because this is her mom's plan, Effie's mom and her have kept a secret from everybody else in the village. Do we remember what that secret was? Effie's mom told her, like, hey, don't tell anybody that this has happened yet. Do we remember what that event was that they were keeping secret? Again, think about it. Put it in the chat. Come off mute. Maybe somebody we haven't heard from yet that's been here. Shirley. Who else do we have with us today? Kira. What was that big secret between Effia and her mom?
She got a period, right?
Yes, she did. But her mom tells her to keep it secret, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Don't let anybody else take this to happen. Do we remember, and this was right at the end last class, do we remember why? What would happen if they find out that she has gotten her period and become...
She got to marry the chief.
Right, exactly, Kira. Good job. So her mom knows, hey, if the tribe finds out, if the village finds out you've become a woman, then you're going to have to marry Abiku, and you'll have to stay here. We won't get as much money as we will for the soldier, and maybe there's even other things at play that we don't quite know about yet. So that's why they've kept it a secret. And then if we remember towards the end of the section, she tells they convince Abiku, like, hey, don't worry about marrying her. She hasn't got her period yet. She's not going to be able to produce you a son. So just let her marry the British guy, and then we'll get more trade and stuff out of it. So they kind of let him think it's his idea, even though they know, or at least her dad thinks that, she's not going to get it yet. And so now we'll see if that is indeed going to be the case, if she's going to marry the British soldier. So that's where we can you guys can kind of start today in the Nearpod. Now, If you don't recall any of that, if you miss some classes or you're behind, right, and you should be seeing my screen share again. If you're behind, you can just start right from the beginning. So you can just hit play and it'll start reading. And then as the questions pop up, you can answer them. If you were here in class and you remember talking about all the stuff that we just talked about, then I would say just jump right to like, just click on these little dots, answer those questions. All right, so number 1 right here, boom, number 2 right here. Okay, I don't want to give the answers away. And then after this, right after this second dot is about where you can start listening if you are all caught up and you were with us the last 2 classes. Okay, and then there'll be some more questions you can see as you continue. All right, so you're either starting from the beginning if you haven't been here, or if you have been here and you're caught up, then click on these 2 dots, answer those questions, and then you can start playing right after the second dot right here. Okay, so you can just click and drag. All right, and then I put it on the dot. Okay, and then I can play right there, and then it'll keep going. All right. So the bulk of the rest of our time this morning, I'm going to give to you guys to listen, work through this, answer these questions. You have, when a question pops up, you have to answer it before it will keep going with the reading. So I just put that in there so that way I know people aren't skipping and going right to the end. Okay. And again, remember, I have to see at least 3 out of the 4 of these questions answered on this by the end of the day today for your progress report. Okay. Questions on the Nearpod. Okay. If you understand what you need to do on the Nearpod, then you can give me please give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat, and then you can get started on it. All right. And I will stay in the chat. Obviously, if anybody has questions as they're going or anything like that. Okay. So again, if you understand what you need to do with the Nearpod, give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat, and then you can go ahead and get started on that, work through, follow along, submit those questions, and then I will be checking back in periodically. Okay. All right. Kira said yes in the chat. Thank you for responding. Looking for one of those from everybody else as well. And you guys can go ahead and get started. Thank you guys. All right. Good job. Right now, I'm going to mute myself, but I am still in the chat. So as you're working through this Nearpod, if you have questions, please give me a shout. And again, if you focus on this now, less you have to do later today and tonight to get everything caught up for your progress report. Okay. And again, remember, don't feel you have to do it all in one shot, because what's cool about Nearpod is you can go back as long as you have that code. So make sure if you want to screenshot or save that code, you can go back and work on it later. So if you want to do a little bit now, come back in the Summit Lab later today, do some there, whatever works best for you. All right, good job. All right, y'all. Gonna check back in again in about another 10 minutes or so and see how everybody's doing. I'm just kind of taking a look right now. And see what kind of answers we got here. Not seeing any pop in yet, but that's okay. If you're following along and you're just not at the questions yet, that's fine. But again, I would encourage you to do try and get at least one of them answered before class ends, so then it's just less on your plate to finish up for tonight for your progress report. And remember, I got to see at least 3 out of the 4 of them answered for all 4, preferably if you can. Okay, yeah, no worries, Salam, you're good. But again, another reminder, if you have been in class and you do remember where we were in the story, you can always skip ahead to those questions. You can just click on that little dot that you see at the bar there at the bottom of the video and just go right to the question and then keep going from there rather than listening to the whole thing up to that point. So whatever you find works best for you, please do that. But just another note of little tips and tricks you guys can use. All right. Keep up the good work. I'll check back in about another 10 minutes or so and see where we are at. Just checking back in. How we doing with this? Questions on anything? All right. Again, still not seeing a lot of answers coming here on my end, but again, that is okay if you are just listening with this and following along, and you haven't gotten to the questions yet. That's okay. If you don't want to skip ahead, all right. What is confusing about it, Salam? Yes, those are her parents. Kobe is her dad, and Baba is her mom.
So then why do the end of the question say why is it like that?
So it's the question is asking what is her relationship like with each one. So like what's her relationship with her dad like? What's her relationship with her mom like? And
I
if
thought
those
they was asking like why are they her parents? I was about to say because they had her.
yeah, I that's a good point. That could have been worded maybe a little bit better. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
really
they say
what it's
what is
asking.
the relationship between Effia and Effia and Baba? Okay, so their relationship is mother and father. Then why do you think it's that way?
Yeah, I that's a good point. I understand how that could be that's worded not the best. So what it's really asking is like what is that relationship like? Is it good? Is it happy? Is it loving? Or is it maybe the opposite with each one?
Right.
And then why is it like that with each of those relationships? So that's what question that first question is asking. So if anybody else was stumped similarly, that's what that question is asking. So thank you for pointing
All
that
right.
out. I'll
Thank
see.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. That was a good point. I'll see if I can go in and maybe edit that. But yeah, that could have been worded a little bit better. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. So just to recap real quick, remember that for progress reports for this class, I should be seeing progress on this Nearpod. So like 3 out of the 4 questions at least answered by tonight. I should also be seeing your family tree assignment if you haven't sent that to me yet. And again, you can do that on Summit under the entry event note taker that you can find under checkpoint 1. You can do it. You can do it by
I
hand.
did mine on slides on
Okay, yeah.
Google Slides.
So however you want to do it best, slides is perfect too. Just make sure you share it with me, whatever you have, whether it's by hand, whether it's on Google Slides, and I'll go in and check Summit over the weekend as well, obviously. But those 2 things are what I'm going to be looking for progress reports. Okay. So as we wrap up here, what I'd like you to do is in the chat, please give me a 1 to 5 of your understanding with everything that you need to have done for progress reports, including like how to do the Nearpod. So 5 would be, I know how to do the Nearpod. I know what I need to do. I'm good to go. I just got to make sure I get it all turned in. 3 would be like I'm a little bit maybe stumped on one thing or the other, but I think I'll be okay. 1 would be like I need extra help. I'm pretty lost. I'm behind. I need to come to the Summit Lab or whatever it is. So think about that and then put that in the chat for me right now before you go. I would like to see one of those from everybody before you head out. And then once I do, you guys will be good to go today since we're just about wrapped up. So if you're finding you're like kind of a 1 or a 2, if there's something I can do to help you out, if you have questions, please shoot me an email or you can come see me in the Summit Lab later today. Again, the link to that lab is the same link for this class. So don't be afraid to come visit me there. All right. That's why it is there. All right. So I saw one from Salam. Thank you. Everybody else, if you're still with us, give me that 1 to 5 in the chat. Please let me know how you're feeling with everything that is due, that you understand everything you have to do. Okay. All right, Shirley, thank you. Good job. So Amir, Naima, Kira, I'd like to see one from you as well. All right. If you've put your response in the chat and you don't have any other questions, then you guys are good. That is all I have for you today. All right, Naima, thank you. And again, if you're finding you are not a 4 or a 5 and you have questions, please don't be afraid to come see me in the Summit Lab. All right. Or shoot me an email, shoot me a message if you're stumped on anything as you're working on it. I will try to help you out. Okay. So I'm going to leave the chat open for about another 2 minutes in case anybody still has questions. But if not, remember, make sure you have the code for the Nearpod so you can go back, right, and work on this later if you choose. Okay. And if there's nothing else, then have a good and a safe and healthy weekend. And I will see you all on Tuesday. All right. But like I said, I'll be in here for about another 2 minutes or so. All right, y'all. If either of you don't have any questions and you understand what you need to do, just making sure one last time. I know you might have stepped away. All right. If not, I'm going to go ahead and end the chat then. Have a good weekend. All right. And I'll see you both on Tuesday. All right, y'all.